Alright, so
Battle Royale.
Now that's a term you may have heard lately, be it Twitch streams, YouTube videos, Instagram montages, or your friend's Snapchat who posts every single win they ever get!
Yeah, we've all known.
The concept is simple.
Players are put on a map and have to scavenge for weapons in order to fight and survive against the other players. The goal is to be the last one or team standing. Battle Royale games have very quickly become a phenomenon across the world, but where did it all start?
Today we're going to be taking you through the history of
Battle Royale.
This all starts with the 2000 movie adaptation of the 1999 novel with the same name, Battle Royale. Due to a major recession, the Japanese government has enforced the Battle Royale Act as a way of controlling the nation's unruly youth.
Fast forward a couple years and you end up with Class 3B, which is a class of 42 kids. Now these kids are told that they're going to be taken on a field trip. Instead, when they get on the bus, they're gassed and knocked out, and when they wake up, they're told that they're going to be taking in this year's annual Battle Royale.
The rules they are given are simple. They are given random weapons, food, water, a map of the land, and a collar placed on their neck. They have 3 days to fight to the death until one victor is left standing, and the collars will kill unruly students and anyone who is in a random danger zone that will randomly appear.
Now remember all that I told you because it will come back later.
8 years later, a new face in the Battle Royale genre appeared, a book series written by Suzanne Collins titled The Hunger Games. The story is set in a future dystopian world that has been ravaged and wrecked by war. By the end of the war arises the capital, the power city in the books, and the main source of government that everyone follows. After winning the war, the capital shows how powerful they are by separating everyone into 12 districts, and every year the districts are forced to send 2 participants, one male and one female, to battle in the annual Hunger Games, a battle royale free-for-all where only 1 out of the 24 kids will come out alive. They are put in the circle surrounding a cornucopia and can either rush in and try to grab equipment and weapons, or run into the surrounding area and survive on their own.
Now Hunger Games has been accused of ripping off Battle Royale, and there are similarities to prove that.
A strict government that sends children into a death match where only one will survive as a way of demonstrating their power to the people.
Suzanne has since denied these accusations, saying that maybe it could have been at the back of her mind, but it was never her direct intention to be similar to the movie.
Now, no one knows for certain whether or not Hunger Games indeed ripped off Battle Royale on purpose, but there is one thing that we know, and that's these two just paved the road for the future that was to come in the gaming sphere.
4 years after the first book's release, a movie adaptation was produced and put in theaters on March 23, 2012. Inspired by the movie, the YouTube channel Machinima started building a map that could be used for a special event. The map was completed, and on April 17, 2012, the first ever Minecraft Hunger Games was released. The event consisted of famous Minecraft YouTubers, and the rules were based off of the books and film. The contestants were spawned in the middle of the arena surrounding the cornucopia and could either try and get the loot in the middle or dash away and try to find the loot that lay hidden around the map. The winner was decided when one contestant was left standing. And if a contestant died, they were allowed to sponsor another contestant, giving them whatever loot they wanted. And when there were only 2 contestants left standing, the spectators would spawn in mobs in order to lead 2 fighters towards each other. The winner of this match, and the first confirmed winner of Battle Royale style games, was the YouTuber AntVenom.
After this event, other Minecraft creators began making their own Hunger Games maps. However, they had to be changes. They couldn't trust anyone to just have creative modes, so there were no sponsors. However, what there was now is since players couldn't find each other, what they added was a timer. Now, once this timer ended, all remaining contestants were spawned into a custom battle arena, and they had to fight to the death right then and there. This was the grand entrance of Battle Royale games to YouTube, as every single video was gaining massive views, there were tons of videos, it was the mainstream at the time. And after this, it only grew.
On June 17, 2009, a game called Arma 2 was released. This game was a hyper-realistic war game that put a lot of emphasis on teamwork and just having fun together. So, what people decided was that this game needed a lot of zombies.
On February 21st, 2013, a mod titled DayZ was released for the game. It changed the military game into a zombie survival where you had to deal with hunger, thirst, and needed to defend yourself against the threat of zombies and hostile players.
This game seemed to be aimed much more at players and streamers that had a lot of time to kill, but this didn't really work out for some people.
One of those people was Brendan Green, whose online alias is known as PlayerUnknown. Now, he didn't have the time to fully enjoy the game, but he loved the PvP-style combat and the gunfights that were present.
So, using some of his coding background, he created a smaller PvP arena where the gameplay was focused on PvP combat. After running the server for a few months, Brendan decided that he wanted to make a mod for DayZ, just like a few other people had.
In love with the PvP combat and inspired by the film Battle Royale, he went to work on his first ever official mod, DayZ Battle Royale. 24 players spawned in on a brand new map surrounding a cornucopia filled with loot. A countdown would start the game as a grace period began. Players cannot take damage during the grace period, but once it ends, it's game on until there is only one player remaining.
This was PlayerUnknown's first forte into the Battle Royale genre, but it wouldn't be the last.
Armor 3, the sequel to Armor 2, came out in September of 2013. With the release of the new game, Brendan wanted to bring his mod over, but he took this opportunity to improve upon his creation.
The player count was increased to customizable numbers, vehicles were added, the map size was increased, and the biggest feature was instead of spawning in a circle among your opponents, players dropped out of a plane and could parachute to wherever they wanted on the map so long it was in their reach. As time went on, they also added 5 extra maps along with the first. This laid the foundation for what PlayerUnknown would later create.
The next game to become part of the ever-shaping Battle Royale genre was H1Z1.
H1Z1 started off as an open-world zombie survival game that was similar to DayZ. It was successful to an extent, but still not as big as DayZ was back in the day.
Someone on the H1Z1 development team saw the Armor 3 Battle Royale mod and thought it would be the perfect addition to the game. After they reached out to Brendan, he posted on Reddit on December 23, 2014, saying that he had been brought onto their team in order to help bring this game mode into their game. 2 months later, in February of 2015, the first service for H1Z1 Battle Royale went live. It was very similar to how it was in Armor 3, but because it was now an official game mode instead of a mod, matchmaking was much more streamlined. Rather than going through about 5 minutes to find a game, all you had to do in H1 was log into the game, press search before being placed in a queue. 5 months later, they added team modes, letting you fight solo, with one other friend, or in squads of 5. The player count is also the highest it's ever been, with 120 people being sent to fight to the death at once. While development for H1Z1 King of the Hill did so well, it eventually took the name of and became the main game, Brendan was only on board as a consultant, and soon his time at the company came to an end. Near the end of his consultation, the head of the newly named Blue Hill Geno game, Shang-Han Kim, reached out to Brendan with the idea of making a game fully fledged on his Battle Royale ideas.
He'd seen the mods that Brendan had made and believed that they were perfect for what a new game needed. Within a week, he'd flown out to Korea to meet with the creators, and then within a few weeks, he'd become the creative director of Blue Hole.
Development for the game began in early 2016, and on March 23, 2017, the early access service for the game launched, and the game that would become known as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The early access was a huge success. The game garnered more popularity than they ever anticipated. They provided small weekly updates and major monthly updates for a few months before having to slow down due to issues with the patches. And they even made history since Brendan was the first foreigner to become the creative director in a Korean game company. The game officially launched on December 20th, and 9 days later it beat the all-time concurrent player count on Steam by passing 3 million players. This game was everything Brendan had been building up to with all of his mods. From the PvP-style combat, to random gun spawns, to adding vehicles and jumping out of a plane to choose your starting location, to increasing the player count to 100, and even the additions of squad modes. PUBG was the ultimate and most defined Battle Royale game, and the phrase winner winner chicken dinner became a staple in the gaming community. PUBG was on top of the world and it was unstoppable.
At least it was. The gaming company known as Epic Games had been working on a game since 2011 called Fortnite. The game was a zombie wave defense game where players had to build bases to survive zombie hordes while defending an objective.
You know, I just realized a lot of these games had zombies in them. Weird.
Anyways, the game was still in its early stages when it released, and it wasn't really going anywhere, and then by that time PUBG was released. A lot of the staff had played the game, and they thought it would be pretty cool to implement their own mode before they left. So within 2 months, less than that actually, they decided that they wanted to make their own version of Battle Royale.
They had kept the building mechanics from their Save the World mode in hopes that it would help differentiate itself from the pack. Originally, they were going to release this game mode as a part of the game's launch, but before release, Epic made 2 choices.
The first was to release it as its own game called Fortnite Battle Royale. The second was to make it free to play.
Just 2 weeks after launch, the game garnered 10 million players, and as of March 2018, it has snagged over 45 million players. Compared to PUBG, it has higher player counts, far more views on streaming sites, and it gains far more revenue. So what happened? How did the defining game of the Battle Royale genre get taken down? Well, firstly, I think it has to do with players being drawn into Fortnite due to its grounded and realistic gameplay.
There's DayZ.
Or maybe not.
When Fortnite came out, PUBG was having to deal with rampant cheaters and connectivity problems, so players who grew tired of a lackluster service a $30 game was giving them could hop onto the free game and enjoy a game that had good connectivity and solid performance. Fortnite also beat PUBG to consoles first, so it already grew a solid fan base on both consoles, but even when PUBG came to consoles, it only landed on Xbox One, and the port is still broken to this day and still in need of fixes. It even landed on phones before PUBG officially did.
Although the PUBG port is actually pretty solid and has better graphics, so at least it wins on phone. What may be the biggest reason are the updates. Like stated before, during its pre-alpha, PUBG had weekly and monthly updates, but when they slowed those down, they slowed it nearly to a halt. Now they happen monthly at best, and they're mostly just trying to fix the mistakes that they had previously made in other updates.
Fortnite, however, has had updates every other week that change the balancing on weapons, can change the layout of the map, can add and remove weapons, and have special game modes that can change constantly, ranging from a massive 50v50 battle to higher loot rarity drops but the storm is always moving in, to a game where it is only explosive weapons. These updates allow the game to feel fresh every other week and rarely feel stale. For all intents and purposes, Fortnite is the game of the future.
But a game this big and groundbreaking raises the question, what now? It is no secret that Fortnite is a worldwide phenomenon. Hell, look no less than 2 weeks ago and the game had a crossover event with the Avengers by having a Thanos game mode involving the Infinity Gauntlet. And that was started because Marvel came to them.
The game was so popular that even Marvel decided it would be a good idea to team up with. The success and popularity of the Battle Royale games gave the industry a message, and boy did they listen.
Looking up Battle Royale on your phone will show you hundreds of results. There are at least 18 Battle Royale games that are coming out this year, and popular series such as Battlefield and Red Dead Redemption are rumored to be including a Battle Royale mode in their release. Hell, Black Ops 4, the newest Call of Duty in the franchise, in the worldwide premiere last Thursday, revealed a Battle Royale game mode. This raises the questions, how many companies will pile onto the bandwagon and include a Battle Royale mode? How many companies will sacrifice single-player campaigns just in the sake of getting these microtransactions cash grabs that are Battle Royale modes?
We have seen the birth and rise of the Battle Royale genre thanks to PlayerUnknown / Brendan Green. We have seen Fortnite come from nowhere and claim the throne as the king of Battle Royale. And we are starting to see what will happen because of it all.
This has been the history of Battle Royale.
Genre.